Many immigrant professionals sit through meetings with great ideas and say nothing. You sit there thinking, I actually have something to add. But before you speak, someone else says it, and the meeting moves on. Not because you didn't have the idea, but because you stayed silent. And over time, that silence can quietly hurt your career. Today, I want to talk about why silence in meetings can work against you and how you can start speaking up with confidence. And I know this because it happened to me. There was a time in my career when I often stayed quiet in meetings. Even when I had ideas to contribute, part of it was cultural. Part of it was confidence. And part of it was my awareness of my accent. Hi, I am Marian, and on this channel, I share lessons from my journey and from my book, Breaking Through, the Immigrants' Handbook for Thriving in the American Workplace, to help immigrant professionals grow, lead, and thrive in their careers. If you are working hard and trying to navigate a new workplace culture, this conversation is for you. For many of us who grew up in Africa, Asia, who grew up elsewhere in many parts of the world, meetings work sometimes very differently. In many cultures, you speak when you're invited. You speak when you have something very important to speak. You speak when you're absolutely certain about your point. Otherwise, listening is considered respectful. Silence shows humility. Silence shows discipline. Silence shows that you are thinking carefully about what others are saying. But workplaces in the United States, in the American culture, often interpret meetings differently. Meetings are not just about sharing information. Meetings are also spaces where people demonstrate engagement, ideas, confidence, leadership potential. And this difference can create challenges for many immigrant professionals. Sometimes, silence in meetings is not only cultural. Sometimes it is emotional. Many immigrants quietly struggle with imposter syndrome, accent insecurity, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of being misunderstood. And I have been there. I have been there. And I'm still going through all of that. I have been there. You may find yourself thinking, maybe my accent is too strong. Maybe someone else can explain this better. Maybe I should wait until I am completely sure before I speak. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to withdraw your voice. This is something I experienced personally, and I talk about it in my book. Breaking Through. I talk about how uncomfortable I used to feel when people would say, I hear an accent. Where are you from? At first, it seemed like a simple question, but over time, those comments made me very conscious of how I spoke. And because of that awareness, I often chose silence, even when I had ideas. And actually, this is in my book. I can tell you this is in page 19, from page 19. The chapter is chapter 2, but where I say, I hear an accent. Where are you from? I often chose silence, even when I had ideas. Even when I had something valuable to contribute. At one point, someone said something that stayed with me. They said she's competent, but she has an accent. That statement affected me much more than I expected. For a period of time, I almost lost my confidence to speak up. Not because I lacked ideas, but because I became overly aware of how I sounded. And the result was that I missed opportunities to contribute in meetings. Many immigrants are not silent because they lack ideas. They are silent because they are still finding their confidence in a new environment. They are adjusting to a different communication culture. They are adjusting to a different pace of conversation. They are adjusting to different expectations. And sometimes they are also navigating the emotional weight of being different. Different accent, different background, different cultural habits. Over time, silence can create several challenges. First, your ideas may not be heard. Second, your contributions may not be visible. Third, people who speak more often may appear more confident, not necessarily because they are more capable, but because their thinking is visible. And in many organizations, visibility matters. Participation is often interpreted as engagement. At some point in my career, I realized something important. People cannot benefit from ideas they never hear. Your ideas may be thoughtful, your ideas may be insightful, your ideas may even solve a problem. But if they remain in your head, they cannot help the team and they cannot help your career. There's something that we say at work, make your thinking visible. So speaking up in meetings does not mean dominating the conversation. It simply means making your thinking visible. You can say things like, I would like to add one thought. One observation I have is, I want to build on what was just said. Even asking thoughtful questions demonstrates engagement. The goal is not to speak all the time. The goal is simply not to disappear from the conversation. And can I say it again that this is all part of emotional intelligence at work? This is part of your professional growth. It means understanding how communication styles differ. It's important to understand how communication styles differ across cultures. Sometimes succeeding in a new environment requires adjusting small habits so your strengths become visible, not because you're abandoning your culture, but because you are learning how to navigate another one. If you are someone who tends to be quiet in meetings, remember this. Your ideas matter. Your perspective matters. Your voice matters. Learning when and how to contribute helps others see the value you already bring. You deserve to grow. You deserve to thrive. And I am cheering you on. I will see you in the next video.